A very pleasant good afternoon to you and you and you. Welcome to Transforming Lives One at a Time. And of course, you could join us here on this program every Saturday afternoon at 5:30 on the Tobago Inspirational Network 137 or on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, Transforming Lives One at a Time. And of course, you can feel free to share this program if it has been helpful to you. Today we want to chat about caring for senior citizens and some of the challenges that they may face from time to time. My guest today, Miss Marva Berkeley, who of course is no stranger to us here. She is the host of Outpouring, and she will be sharing her experience whilst caring for her parents and talking a bit more about some other stuff. Marva, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Dianne, and it's really my pleasure and honor to be on your program. And let me take the opportunity to congratulate you on this program, Transforming Lives, and I truly believe you will transform lives one at a time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, Marva, when we talk about senior citizens, we talk about the golden years of one's life. That's how I think about it. And I think it's extremely important that as our citizens take this trek at this point in their lives, that they must be as comfortable as possible, enjoying every single step of the way. So first of all, what are some of the difficulties we find our senior citizens facing on a daily basis?
Well, it could come in different categories, right? But let's first define senior, and the senior is defined as anyone that is 65 and over. So we have I would say the junior seniors, those who just begun, and we also have those who are into their real golden years, like in their 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And some of the challenges that our seniors face would be mobility issues, because things beginning to change physically.
Yes.
So apart from mobility, we have the health aspect, then also the aging brain. We also, as seniors, face the whole difficulty with transitioning, where they no longer get up each day with that aim and purpose of like going out to work or engaging in things in society where they had a major sense of importance and all that. So it's like they are now on the decline.
Right.
And it's a time of great transition. So any form of change, it's challenging. So the challenges that our seniors will face has to be also in that area of just changing life cycles.
Yes.
Diet and is another major part, because as we age, we have to begin now to watch what we eat because we have health challenges.
Yes.
So these are some of the issues I think our seniors would face.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I know that you would have had first-hand experience rather, caring for your elderly parents. Just walk us through about some of the challenges you faced whilst caring for your parents.
I think the major challenge I faced, I prided myself with having a lot of patience. I felt that I was a person with patience and all that. And having to take care of my mom, I realized that I did not have patience. I had to literally pray that God would give me the patience, because what is happening is that there's a transition taking place. Normally your parents would be the one telling you what to do, how to do it and everything, and now you have the changing of roles. And seniors, they tend to forget. It's a natural part of the aging process. And so you may say one thing to them now and then they forget and do something else. Or an area that I had challenges with, I thought certain things was in their best interest, and they just wanted to continue with their independence.
Yes.
And therein lied some of the challenges, because in the case with my mom, she had issues with her mobility. And after taking her like to the lifestyle clinic, they suggested that she do a measure of physiotherapy. And she couldn't be bothered with that, you know. And here I was, well, Mommy, you have to do it,
Yes.
and she don't want to do it, you know. So that reversal of roles,
Right.
that was a challenge. And then also then you have the whole issue with medication, you know, like putting out the medication, making sure they take the medication, and it's a whole different, as the age progressed, you had new challenges popping up, you know. So apart from the issues with their health, there's a measure of, I may say stubbornness, but they would refer to me as a child as being stubborn, you know. And really and truly, it's because they want to maintain their dignity.
Yes.
And if we don't understand that process, because now in retrospect, when I look back, there were lots of things I could have done differently, but I didn't know, you know. And it was like a learning experience for me as to how to treat with elderly persons, you know. Say, for example, diabetes, and if they have high blood pressure, then there would be certain diets that they shouldn't have certain things. But remember, they are accustomed eating and they want to still enjoy life.
Of course.
So the challenge would be now to find a balance between having them enjoy what they are accustomed having, but yet at the same time being responsible, you know, for their health.
Because as you spoke, I was thinking in terms of, you know, our senior citizens, they are the adults.
Yes.
We have always known them. Okay, we were the children and we were growing up. They are the adults. They were the ones that, and continue, we listen to for advice and for everything else. And now it appears as if the shifts are now changing.
Right.
So we are now looking at where they would have been taking care of us in our younger age. Now we are taking care of them. And what you mentioned about patience, that is so very important, because a lot of our senior citizens, when you talk to other persons, you would hear them saying, hey, my mom is so stubborn, my dad is so set in his ways, because they are accustomed with their independence.
And you now trying to take that from them.
Yes,
you know?
you're trying to rain on their parade. So when they are accustomed eating their provision and their salt fish and their curry chicken and stuff like that, and now you are saying, well, Mom, because of your age, because of new health challenges that have now arisen, you cannot continue on the same dietary, and yet you still want to ensure that you maintain that respect for them because they are your parents.
And you touch on a very important part there about respect. And we know that the Word of God says that children ought to honor their parents, you know, and we have to honor and respect them. So what does this honoring and respect look like when the younger ones is now taking care of the older ones? How do we maintain their dignity and show them that respect while at the same time telling them what to do and having to assist them, you know? And the area in terms of their pride, you know, they have their dignity and their custom being independent. And as they age, they become more dependent. And I had situations where, you know, my mom, you would actually see her struggling to do something. I said, but Mommy, I'm here. You could call me. You could let me do it. And she, you know, she would say things like, well, I don't want to bother nobody, you know, because they come to a stage, and as their age progress or their disabilities progress, they are able to do less and less. So they become so independent, and some of our elderlies, they suffer in silence.
Yes.
You know, they really suffer in silence.
And you find that they don't ever want to feel as if they are a burden.
Yep.
Because, and as children, we have to come to the recognition that these are my parents, they would have been taking care of me before. I am now taking up that role and that responsibility to now take care of them. They took care of me all my life. And when you look at the time span, many times you may have probably about 10 years to take care of your parents, maybe 5, maybe 15. But whatever the time, it is important, as you rightfully said, to exercise that kind of patience.
And the love.
Yes, affection. Let them not feel as if they are a bother to you or they are a burden to you, because that alone, mentally,
it plays a part on their brain. Care for the elderlies could come in different forms, and whichever form their loved ones or their children decide to take, it's still care, because your parents, they may age and you may still be working, you may still be employed.
Yes.
So you are not able to devote that full attention as you would like to. So care in that area may come in the form of bringing in someone during the times that you are not there.
Right.
It may also, one of the worst, well, I shouldn't say worst case, but it could go very different if you have to eventually put your parents in a home.
Yeah.
Because physically, you may not have someone to take care of them, because you would have your own family and all that, so you may not have someone to take care of them. And really and truly, a lot of persons, they put down putting parents in homes. But sometimes their social life, and especially if it's a good home, they're no longer as lonely being home by themselves.
Right.
They have other persons their age. Then at some of the homes you have medical personnel coming in.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing. Some parents, they would tell you straight out, don't put me in, And others, I have known other cases where, they willingly went into a home because social and a better level of care.
Right. Because I'm also wondering about sometimes you may have a small family, let's say 2 children,
right,
and one is abroad, so the other one is here. So that other one who is here is working. So because of that, I could understand you having a person that you could call to come in and take care of them during the day, and then in the afternoon you would be there. And then there is also what you spoke about, putting them in a home. For me personally,
yes, I do.
Yeah, because
it's the last resort.
It's definitely the last resort. And I mean, I understand everybody's busy, they have their lives, and I understand that. But I have a serious issue, even if we place our senior citizens in a home, that we don't just abandon them there.
And we have a lot of that. Dianne, we have a lot of that happening, where the younger persons, they don't place a value on the contribution that these persons would have made, not only in their personal lives, but to the society. So as people get older and they're no longer as important to them, they end up being cast aside and sidelined. But what the elderly have that the younger persons lack is that experience and wisdom.
Yes, a vast wealth of wisdom.
Experience and wisdom.
That we need to be getting from them.
And it really must be valued.
Yes, of course.
There's another area that is really on my heart with the elderlies. Well, apart from the health aspect, and we'll probably go into the health aspect just now, but it's the whole area of abuse. Because some elderly persons may not be living with their own children, but there may be a grandchild or something living with them. And I had a personal experience indirectly recently where this, the gardener was coming to do some work for me, and he said he met this old man in the road, and he was kind of like limping and staggering, and he was walking in the road. So he said he took him to the side and he carried him where he needed to go. And while he was walking with the gentleman told him that his grandson was smoking in the house, and he told the grandson, I don't want any smoking in the house.
Wow.
And the grandson hit him with a stick
Oh my God.
on his foot. That's just like one case, but we have a lot of different forms of abuse that take place with our precious elderly persons. And I know the Department of Social Services, they have an area that deals with abuse for the elderly and all that. But it's really sad, because these persons in years gone by would have been respectable citizens,
of course,
making their full contribution. And when they have to be subject to treatment like that, there begins their whole process of depression, not wanting to live, not wanting to wake up to anything, so
that is just inexcusable.
Yep.
And we have to condemn any kind of abuse. We have to condemn it across the board. We definitely have to do that. As we were talking earlier about the health aspect, I know that there are various ailments that affect senior citizens more. Like Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, that kind of thing. Did you have to deal with aspects of that?
Yes. With my mom, I had to deal with her mobility.
Yes.
And also she had high blood pressure. She wasn't diabetic, but she still had to watch what she ate because of the high blood pressure.
Yes.
And then with my dad, I had to deal with early onset of Alzheimer's, where we had to take him to the mental health, department. And on that note, I just have a few pointers that I would like to share on early signs, because sometimes we forget that there are aspects of the brain that is aging, and we may feel that our parents or our seniors are being difficult or they're not cooperating, when the truth be told, they really don't remember certain things.
Yes.
It also comes with sometimes a person may have not been an aggressive person, but with that age and the changes in the brain, they become aggressive, for no reason at all. So there are some warning signs of Alzheimer's early onset that I'd like to just quickly share.
Sure.
And one of them is memory loss that disrupts daily life. And if there's anyone you'd like me to go into more, I could do that. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Okay. So you knew them to be able to do good with taking care of their own business and their finances and everything. But because of that early onset of Alzheimer's, they are no longer able to solve problems. Difficulty completing family tasks at home, at work, or at leisure. Confusion with time and place.
Wow.
And that is critical, because I remember sometimes Daddy didn't know what month it was or what date it was. Trouble understanding visual images. New problems with words in speaking or writing. So all of these things, and you could begin to see it as it progresses.
Yes.
Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps.
Right.
Decreased or poor judgment, withdrawal from work or social activities, and changes in mood and personality. So a lot of these things are some of the early signs, because the brain, for some of them, it's declining.
Yes.
And it's sad, but it's part of the territory of aging.
Yeah, and I am just thinking in terms of how that would be such a pressure on them, because knowing that all throughout the years you would have been so sharp, your mind so sharp, and now you put down a bunch of keys and you're there wondering where did I put these keys. So it's a whole confusion. It's so many things, and that is why I believe that patience patience is so important for us to exercise as
dealing with
children,
them.
that when these issues come up, we know for certain it's not mommy and daddy trying to be stubborn, or they're trying to be difficult, or they're trying to stress me out. No, things are happening within them, and we have to be in a position to understand and still show that love, still demonstrate that love and that care, so that they don't think that they are a burden. And I think right at this time we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back. You're viewing Transforming Lives One at a Time. Stay with us.
Are you looking for beautiful and durable flooring for your home or office? Check out D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, Store Bay Local Road, Bonacord, Tobago, opposite the primary school. Our high-quality ceramic and porcelain tiles come in a wide range of colors, patterns, and textures to suit any style and taste. From sleek and modern to classical and traditional, your floors and walls will look great for years to come. D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. Call 460-8802 or 639-8281. We've got you covered.
Welcome back to Transforming Lives One at a Time, and today we are talking about challenges that senior citizens would face from time to time, and of course how we care for our senior citizens. My guest, Martha Berkeley. All right, so just before the break, I know we were delving into a lot of areas, but I want us to get into the dietary requirements, because as you rightfully said earlier, as our seniors age, their dietary requirements many times change. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so this is a must. It must change. However, and we will know that from ourselves, from our personal lives, any form of change, we don't willingly embrace it, especially dietary, where all the nice things that you're accustomed to eat that not healthy for you.
Yes.
And they now would have to go through that transition. And sometimes we as caregivers, I think we could be a little too hard or harsh on them, because yes, they have to change their diet. Yes, they have to reduce the salt intake, the sugar intake, the grease, more vegetables, more greens. But they still need to enjoy life, because that's their pleasure. Remember, they are no longer able to go all about and enjoy themselves. So if they want a nice soup,
Cow heel soup,
give them a little bit. My mother, she loved ice cream.
Right.
And sometimes I would buy the ice cream. She wasn't challenged in the area of diabetes, but we know, all these things have the challenge.
Yes.
But we all going to die one day. And that's not being, it's not being irresponsible.
Yes, understood.
But we must find that balance where they could enjoy stuff to eat. But it is also important that they know why we're doing what we're doing, and some of the health challenges, and we could engage them in the process.
Yes.
Say, well, we can't have too much sugar in it now, and we have to cut back a little bit on the pork or different things.
But saying it in a nice, loving way.
And engaging them, so they don't feel as if we're telling them what to do, or we suddenly don't want them to enjoy the food.
Yes.
Because I remember my mom used to say, gosh, this food doesn't have no taste. But we have to really try to make it nice. Like I used to do breakfast for my mom and dad, and sometimes I would have about 7 different items on the plate, and I would try to spice it up with the shadow penny and different things, so Coralie, melangen, okras.
So you make it exciting.
Yes, and I lay it out nice on the plate, so they look forward to me giving them breakfast. So we have to make it, even though they may have the sugar and salt restrictions or the oil restrictions, we still have to cause them to enjoy their meals, because they need to eat.
Of course. How important is education? Because all the things you're talking about here, as you care, as you cared for your parents, you now had to get the necessary information, the information that was vital for their nourishment. how important is that generally? Because sometimes as a family you think, well, yeah, I know, we just continue doing this, or we just put less salt, or, you know, how critical to get the right information tailored for your seniors.
Right.
Yes.
And this is where the health services departments come in, because there are health centers in most districts.
Yes.
And they encourage senior citizens to join the lifestyle clinics.
Okay.
So when our seniors become part of the lifestyle clinic, you would know your numbers, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, all the different things, your cholesterol levels. And once you get your numbers, so whichever numbers are not where it should be, they would also refer, because on many times I went with mom to the health center, to lifestyle clinic.
Yes.
And at one time she had to be on warfarin, and then they would have a special diet. So part of the whole process would be going to the dietitian.
Yes.
And they would give you a list of what and what you should have and what you shouldn't have. And they also encourage the physiotherapy part of it, but of course she wasn't bothering with that part of it. And you know, now in retrospect, maybe I could have done it differently, because rather than tell her, well, mommy, you have to do these exercises, and then she say, I ain't doing it, I don't want, you know, maybe if I had come alongside and say, okay, let us do it together, you know, it would have made a difference, you know. And it's sad that some of these things I had to pick up along the way, you know, but there are areas, like when you go to the lifestyle clinics with them, they would share that with you. And I know the division of social and wellness, they have information concerning aging and, you know, all these things.
So the onus is on us really to get the information.
Yeah.
So the information is there. As a matter of fact, it's at our fingertips, huh?
Yes, because on the on YouTube, there are so many exercises that seniors can do while sitting, you know, the leg raises, you know, all these different things to just keep the mobility, going. Because as we age, and I say we because I am having challenges with my knees, and I recently fell, and I had to go to the physiotherapist, and he was insisting that I need to, you know, begin to do these exercises, because I used to go to the gym and then I stopped.
Right.
To strengthen the muscles, because the muscles is what, once we have good muscles, they are what causes our skeleton, you know, the bones to be able to move. So if we don't have good muscle tone, then we are actually courting immobility. Right. So we have to bring in the walking stick or the walker or the wheelchair, you know.
Yes. I remember, well, all the time I would pass down at Mount Turvin in the early morning, and of course down at Swallows, and you would see a lot of our senior citizens, and not so senior, joining in and just being a part of the environment, interacting, doing the exercises in the water. So you have the
social aspect coming in, and then you have the physical aspect.
Of course, and it is so important to them, because just a couple of weeks ago, I think my aunt, well, she usually goes down there whenever she can, and they were having some function, all the senior citizens, and you know, they come together, and it was just so joyous to hear about that they are coming together as a group. They are actually interacting and enjoying life.
And once they laugh, once they smile, once they have fun, that picks up their mood, because a lot of seniors, they suffer from depression.
Yes.
And it's because of loneliness.
But I was just about to talk about loneliness, because many times you have, because the children are so busy, and you know, they have their own families, but we also have to understand that these are the people that were there for us from the onset, and we have to ensure we make a concerted effort to put things in place. Even if you're not there every day, you have to check your parents, you have to see how they're doing. And I am concerned about that.
This is where the grandchildren and young persons come in. Because in the case of my father, there was a caregiver. She was like in her 20s, so she he liked her company and all that,
Right.
and she had a little son. And that son got so attached to my father.
Yes.
And it was so strange that my father died on his birthday. And that child, he grieved as if it was his own father. But their bond was inseparable. There was a next guy, like sometimes if daddy come up by me, there was a neighbor's son, little also, he would come across and he would hold his son. He said, "Come, Mr. Berkeley, come and lie down."
Yes.
And the daddy would whistle, teach him to whistle, you know, and then tell him stories, because daddy was a fireman, and tell him things about. So what's happening there is that the older person, you know, they're able to pass on information and almost relive their life through the child, and the child look up to them. So the grandparenting and the young generation, they put life, you know, they put that life back into the older person.
A sense of excitement. It's like, wow, these youngsters, I could now impart my knowledge to these younger ones. And that is what it is supposed to be, you know. It's a generation, and we are passing on that generational blessing.
Yes.
We are passing on information that would be able to take the generation to the next level. And that is so very important, that as families, we need to understand and recognize the importance of the children and the grandchildren being a part of their grandparents' life, and not just have them over when you want them to babysit. And that is another thing. That is another thing. Some of these younger parents, they almost feel entitled. Well, that is your grandchild. You have to take care. No.
And that could come into a measure of abuse again.
Exactly. Because it's like, no, don't put it on them as if, well, you have to do
don't
this.
Make it a burden.
They are assisting, but don't feel that you are so entitled that, okay, this is your grandchild. You have to take care of him. You have to buy this for them. No, it's your child. You take care of your child, just as your parents took care of you. You now have the responsibility to take care of your children. Yes, they would come in and assist wherever they can and when they can. But don't think as if this is their wholly and solely their responsibility.
And that's a measure of abuse too, where they overburden.
And bringing that guilt trip
on them.
If you don't take care of this one. Okay, well, all right, well, I will carry them by the
daycare.
By the daycare. I don't know what will happen there. And that kind of guilt trip, I'm saying all of that is emotional abuse.
Yes, and then you have the financial abuse. Where sometimes the aging persons, their pensions are being, you know,
siphoned.
Yes, and they are not getting the care and the benefits of their pension, and they tend to be trusting and they hoodwinked.
Yes,
you know?
Yes. We have to stop these things.
Yes.
We have to stop it, because I am a firm believer of whatever you sow, you will reap.
Oh, yes.
And remember, you have children coming up, and you would not want that for your children. You would not want to experience that kind of behavior from your children. So why do it to your parents? Yeah, so that is very, very important. But I really want to encourage families to really care more for our senior citizens.
Definitely.
Ask a question. Sometimes they may need something, but they don't want to be a bother. Observe. Look and realize that the stove that mommy has, it's only one burner working out of the 6.
Yes.
Come on. I think Christmas is coming. Surprise her.
And spend time. Because seniors, they tend to get lonely and lost in their own world. And, you know, you could just come and sit and chat and just spend time.
Quality time.
Quality time. Meaningful time. And, you know, as we're on that topic, and there's a area that has to happen in families so that, you know, there could be a better transition as you go along. And that is the area of forgiveness. Because sometimes there are old hurts and old issues that were never dealt with never even forgiven, and so there's no meaningful relationship. And the seniors, they need to do a measure of forgiving and releasing for their own enjoyment and their own future. And the young persons, they also need to engage in forgiving their parents for wherever the parents may have wronged them. Because as parents, we don't get a chance, we don't have a set handbook. We don't get it right all the time.
True.
We make mistakes, we do some good things, you know. So that whole forgiveness in the family is important, as, you know, we care for our elderly and honor them and respect them and love them.
And it goes back to the Bible.
Yes.
You have to honor your parents. That is one of the first
commandments,
Bible verses that we learned.
And it has a promise so that your days may be long in the land. Yes.
Honor your parents. Honor, yes, you may say, wow, mommy miserable when she ready, daddy miserable when he...
But we miserable when we're ready.
We are all miserable as well.
Yes.
Because growing up as children, you realize whenever you're correcting a child, it's always, don't do this. It's never do this, you know. Always don't do always don't do this. So it's very, very important for that love and, as you said, that forgiveness. But in order for forgiveness to take place, we have to be educated about the importance
of it,
how critical forgiveness is, that we can be able to forgive in our generation and pass that information on.
Yes.
So we don't have persons and family members harboring unforgiveness, then mommy dies or daddy dies. I have been talking to a young lady, and she told me, she said the relationship between her mom and herself, as well as her dad and herself, it's very, very bad. And she told me in terms of past hurts, and I was really encouraging her. I said, listen, you are a young lady, you need to be able to deal with that now. Because if you don't deal with that, you will have a bad relationship with your parents.
And your children,
of course,
because these things continue on in families.
And not only that, if you don't have that good relationship and you don't bring that level of forgiveness that you can be able to move on, when you now enter a relationship of your own, you have that problem of unforgiveness as well. So when your spouse does something, it's difficult for you to forgive because you have not yet even forgiven your parents. So if you have not forgiven your parents, this person is just a stranger, just sharing a home with me. So it's very, very important, that continued conversation and that continued education about how critical forgiveness is as it relates to family life. Because once you have that forgiveness ongoing, that conversation always taking place, you will find persons are much more open.
Yes.
They're much
and that's
more
like
open.
The oil in relationships. It's important in families, but it's important in all relationships, because there are times when we're going to rub each other the wrong way.
Of course.
And forgiveness is that oil that would cause us to, you know, to be able to go forward.
Let's talk about the spiritual aspect, because dealing with senior citizens, how has it been for you and your parents in terms of that spiritual aspect?
Well, parents would leave a legacy. They leave a legacy of spirituality, you know. And I think some things that they enjoy, well, especially like my mom, and you know, each person would have to really know their parents to know what they like. But my daughter, you know, she said she enjoyed being with her grandmother because of the hymns that she would sing.
Wow.
And that left a legacy in her. So it would, in those times of their singing, my mom would have had joy, because singing always brings you joy.
Of course.
And my daughter, she would have gotten a legacy. She recently asked me, Mommy, try and get me a Methodist hymnal.
Yes.
So she wanted to just sing those hymns because she remembers her grandmother singing the hymns. So the spiritual aspect is really good. And just to share a few verses in Psalms 92 verse 41, it says, they shall bring forth fruit in old age, they shall be fat and flourishing. So not because our parents may have health challenges, not because they may have mobility issues or a declining brain, they can still bring forth fruit in their old age. Proverbs 20:29 says the glory of young men is their strength. So young people really have strength.
Yes.
And the beauty of old men is their gray hair. So I think that is a good one. And the last one I'd share is Isaiah 46:4. It says, and even to your old age I am he, and even to hoary hairs will I carry you. I have made and I will bear you. Even I will carry you and deliver you. So this is an encouragement to the seniors who may be, viewing that despite if even your family leave you or your friends not there, God is with you. And he promised, lo, I'm with you always, even unto the end of the world.
And that is precious, and that you can take to the bank.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take a short break again, and we will be right back. You're viewing Transforming Lives One at a Time. Stay with us.
Are you looking for beautiful and durable flooring for your home or office? Check out D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, Store Bay Local Road, Bonacord, Tobago, opposite the primary school. Our high-quality ceramic and porcelain tiles come in a wide range of colors, patterns, and textures to suit any style and taste. From sleek and modern to classical and traditional, your floors and walls will look great for years to come. D-Cell's Tile and Ceiling Center, open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. Call 460-8802 or 639-8281. We've got you covered.
Welcome back to Transforming Lives One at a Time. We are speaking about caring for our senior citizens. And just before the break, we were talking about so many things.
Yes.
So many things. Like I'm having a senior moment. But let's talk about the importance in checking in with our seniors and just share with us some tips that keep our seniors engaged.
All right, so it is important to check in because some persons may not be, okay, they're senior like 65 to 70, 75, and they still have a great measure of independence and they're able to live alone.
Right.
And that is okay. However, it is important when you have such persons living alone to check in with them. So the onus is on both parties. The onus is on the person to just make a call in the morning, to a daughter, a son, or somebody. I woke up, I'm alive.
Yes.
And the onus is also on the children or grandchildren just to check in the morning. Hi, how was your night? You need anything.
Right.
So at least you know that the person didn't pass out in the night or lying down unable to move or anything like that. Another important aspect, even with the checking in and things happening to persons alone and in the night, is security. Sometimes seniors could want to be so secure that the house could be impenetrable.
Yes.
Somebody cannot get in.
Too much burglar proof.
Yes, not the burglar proof, the keys, have somebody else having keys.
Right.
So that in case of anything, somebody could come in and have access and quickly, be able to engage. Because we've known of situations where elderly persons die and it's some days before.
Up to last week.
Okay.
Last week.
Yes,
about somebody dying in a
and nobody knows until days after.
Yeah.
So that is not acceptable.
Yes.
So we need to check in. They send a message, call. We in the days of technology, it's not going to take you 2 minutes to call. I'm alive, I'm well, how are you doing?
Yes, indeed.
And you get a good start to your day. Also, looking for signs. The children or the caregivers, there are certain signs, warning signs that we must be conscious of.
Yes.
And these warning signs has to do with, how persons answering or relating. Sometimes even like facial expressions, if there's changes in the facial expression, it could be sign of a stroke coming on.
Yes, correct.
So it's really to be very conscious and look out for the signs, mobility signs, just general outward expression signs.
Yes.
How our seniors relating, if they're probably not talking as much as they used to talk, or they're not
Yes.
engaging as much, or you find a little depressed. All these are signs that something else is going on
or even
inside.
the kind of things that they're saying.
Right. Even with the abuse part of it, there are certain telltale signs. They may not want to be around certain people.
Yes.
Or you may see, certain bruises or marks, and you ask about it, or the money is not, they haven't got enough money. So we really have to be aware and stay on top of things as we give kids, not just the plate of food or taking them to the doctor or the health center, but it's that everyday observance as to how they're doing and getting.
So we have to be more intentional
Yes.
in our approach. We have to be more attentive.
And be on the button. There are some points I'd like to share of ways to maintain the brain, because we know the heart is important, but the brain is also very important. And at present, I would consider myself to be a senior. But you don't look it at all. Well, I am. And one of the things that I'm doing a course, an associate's degree in psychology. Wonderful. And I'm doing it one course at a time. Some semesters I do 2, some I do none.
Okay.
And sometimes I do 1. But the important thing is to keep the brain working, you know. So it says here, head first. Good health starts with your brain. It's one of the most vital body organs, and it needs care and maintenance. And not only for seniors, not only for 65 and over, across the board.
Yes.
Take brain health to heart. What's good for the heart is good for the brain. Do something every day to prevent heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke, all of which can increase your risk of Alzheimer's. The next one says, your numbers count. Keep your body weight, blood pressure, cholesterol, and high sugar levels within recommended ranges. Feed your brain. Eat less fat and more antioxidant rich foods. Well, if I may say, less fat but not no fat, because the brain needs fat.
Right.
Healthy fats. Work your body. Physical exercise keeps the blood flowing and may encourage new brain cells. Do what you can, like walking 30 minutes a day to keep both body and mind active. So one of the things younger persons could do with the elderly is go for a walk and pause and talk if they get tired, you know, or even have a little stool that they could just sit on and then relax. Continue going again. Jog your mind. Keep your brain active and engaged, increases its vitality and builds reserve of brain cells and connections. Read, write, play games, learn new things, and do crosswords puzzles. I remember Mom used to do crossword puzzles, a lot of crossword puzzles. Connect with others. Leisure activities that combine physical, mental, and social elements may be most likely to prevent dementia. Be social, converse, volunteer, join a club, or take a class. So being part of like a church group, or being part of helping groups in the community, anything to keep that social aspect going. Take precautions against head injuries. Use your car seat belts. Underclutter your house to avoid falls. Wear a helmet when cycling or skating. That part about avoiding falls.
That is critical.
That
is critical.
I used to literally quarrel, and sometimes I had to repent. I would say the passage must be kept clear
at all
the time. So I would see things there, and I would just move everything, and I wish I would have moved it quietly, but sometimes I made a little too much noise. But it is important.
Yes, it is.
Because if you leave things out of place and in the way for elderlies, it's so easy for them to trip them, you know?
Of course.
And the last two, it says, avoid unhealthy habits. Don't smoke, drink excessive alcohol, or use street drugs. And the last one is think ahead. Start today. You can do something today to protect your tomorrow. And this information that I just shared with came from the Alzheimer's Association. They are not my...
Right, yes.
yes, they are from the Alzheimer's Association.
And there's so many different places that we can get such vital information.
Yep.
We can just go on our laptops, we can Google it, and of course in Tobago here we have the Division of Health and Wellness.
Yes.
So persons can be able to reach out. If you need the information, you are caring for your parents or you're caring for a senior citizen, you can reach out and get the information. When you get the information, you are in a better position to perform with excellence.
Yes, the word of God says, my people perish.
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
So we don't want to be in that situation.
Perishing.
I want to thank you so much. Let me give you an opportunity to give your closing remarks, and I want to thank you so much for being a guest today on this program, and I'm sure that I can be able to call on you anytime.
Yes. You know, my closing remarks would be to share a very happy moment. I attended Brother B's 60th birthday celebration.
Okay. Right, yes.
And the guest of honor was Lord Nelson.
Oh,
we know
that
he's
is
from
his good
Tobago.
friend.
Yes. But what fascinated me about that, this man is 93 years old.
Wow.
He was dressed to impress.
Ooh.
The colors were pink and purple, and he was in an all pink suit.
Yes.
He had his walking stick, but I believe that was style. Because when he started to perform, all of we is one family.
Oh my God.
Listen, the stick was up in the air, the stick was off to the side, the stick was just an added feature.
Yes,
It was a just in case.
Yes.
And he was so happy around people,
Of course.
enjoying himself,
Yes.
singing and dancing. And
Well,
you know,
that is Lord Nelson.
yes, and you cannot sing and dance and be depressed and sad.
Exactly.
The two don't work together.
It doesn't.
So that's my closing remarks.
Yes.
To the elderlies and to those, you know, up and coming elderlies and seniors, sing, dance, love the Lord, socialize,
Yes.
enjoy all the seasons of your life.
Definitely embrace it.
Yes.
Embrace it. Well, as we begin to wrap up, I want to encourage our retirees and our seniors. I have an aunt. She's a retiree now. She has been in teaching for umpteen years, and she has something that she always says. She says, I am not retired enough, but I'm refired.
Yes, differently.
Exactly.
Yes.
She is not retired, but she is refired, which means she is just living her best life now.
Yep.
And that is what we want for all of our senior citizens. That is what we want for you. And I want to encourage our retirees and our seniors that, listen, your life has now started really, right? And all your life you would have been on the move. It's a hustle and the bustle, getting this, getting that, putting things in place for the children, putting things in place for the family, getting your home and all of that. And I want to say that this is now a new chapter of your life, and it is to be embraced and enjoyed. So just take time out to enjoy those golden years. Take time off. You have made such a significant contribution to our society, and for that we are grateful, but it is not yet over. You still have more to give. All right, so get into a relaxation mode, but yet we still want you a little more to contribute in whatever areas you can. Get involved in a social group, whatever you can to help the next generation. All right, so I want to say thank you all. again for joining us today on Transforming Lives One at a Time. Again, you can view us every Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on the Tobago Inspirational Network and on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, Transforming Lives One at a Time. Again, I want to thank Ms. Marva Berkeley for so competently handling this topic as she shared her own experience as she cared for her parents. All right, I want to encourage also family members to continue to remain faithful and committed to caring for your loved ones, even at this delicate stage in their lives. Always remember, they did it for you, and this is the time that you have to now do it for them, because you love them, because you're concerned, not for any other gains. Okay, so join us again for another program, Transforming Lives One at a Time. I am your host, and as usual, I'm going to leave you with transformation is an internal shift that brings us into alignment with your highest potential. Hey, we've got this. See you next time.